Now they're in the studio and they're teaming up because we are going to educate the masses and try to bring them financial freedom in the most tax-effective manner as we possibly can. That seems like that's kind of the thing that we focus on the most. Is this not, boys?
Oh, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
one of the greatest risks we have is uncontrolled taxes.
So some of the great topics we're going to have for this segment is we're going to be talking, not necessarily this one, but throughout our time together, we're going to be talking about compounding interest, rates of return, long-term investing, term insurance, qualified plans, large purchase financing. These are things that you guys work with clients on a daily basis, right?
Correct, yep.
Yep, every day.
Okay, now the first one we're going to be talking about is actually compounding interest. I'm glad I don't know hardly anything about this, because if I stop you, then I'm going to be like all the other financial idiots out there, and we're going to be like, whoa, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. So we're going to break this down. Compounding interest. Tell us a little bit about compounding interest. What exactly is compounding interest?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I don't think everyone out there are financial idiots, because what we've been taught to be true has turned out not to be. We've just been fed this line that everyone kind of follows, and that's what John and I do. We break down the fundamentals of basic investing and finances, and we help discover what the truth is. So there's no idiots. It's just the fact that we've all been kind of following the same piper, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. The most popular, I guess whatever's hot as far as
That's right.
it goes for the financial. Now, how long have you been doing this, Brian?
Oh, I'll give away my age then.
No.
I've been a CPA for 35 years. So
You could easily start, you could have been like a genius and been like 10 when you started.
Right. Well, but I will tell you, though, that's where this whole concept of understanding where the financial economics are breaking down comes in, because I was doing this long before I had this revelation that why is things not working? They weren't working in my life, and they weren't working in my client's life as well. And so I had to stop everything I was doing and try and figure out why everyone's finances weren't working. First one's compound interest. Heck, if compound interest works, you should be retired by the time you're 50, because you're on that exponential curve. It is called the eighth wonder of the world, the miracle of compound interest.
Now, John, how long have you been doing this? You've been doing this a long time, too.
Yeah, I've been in the business for about over 15 years.
Wow. What made you decide to get into it?
I had an education background, and I always felt like teaching was something that I wanted to do, and I've always wanted to be in the business of owning my own business. And so I felt like we could take the same philosophy of teaching and educating clients. We're doing the same thing, just on different levels with individuals and business owners and such.
And that's what you do with Solid Rock Financial Group.
Correct.
It's a lot of education.
We like to call ourselves financial coaches. We really like to help people take all this information that they're receiving from the masses and all the media, and how to decipher and how to dissect it, and really what is the truth about how money really works.
So break down compounding interest to the simplest way that people can understand.
Well, compound interest just says that if you have $1 and it earns $1, now you have $2. But now $2 are earning. And so they just keep compounding on each other, and the earnings realize earnings, and you do see an exponential curve. And that exponential curve is what they call the miracle of compound interest.
The miracle. I feel like it should be like, I should have music that's like, ah.
It's the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
But the problem is, in relation to that, is what we're talking about is this miracle of compounding interest. If you were to stay on that compounding curve and never were able and never got off of it, it would exist. But the problem is that throughout our lives, there's so many things through taxes, fees, using our assets to drain the accounts to make major capital purchases. We're killing our compounding because we're destroying that compounding curve.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I first learned it was when I was saving for my daughter's college education.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's very common. A lot of people right now have a college fund for their children.
Right. And my wife and I saved on a regular basis in order to send them off to college. And what happened was 18 years of savings all of a sudden went out the window, because we transferred the compounding interest account to the university. We were no longer the beneficiaries of the miracle, because we transferred the miracle to the university, because they're the ones that now hold the money for that long period of time in which can compound. And so that was my first revelation in this, is you can't interrupt the compound interest curve. If it's going to work for you long haul, you can't give it away.
And the reality in relation to the 529 plans is you're typically saving those plans for about 18 years, right when that miracle starts to happen. And what do? You transition those assets to the financial institutions or the colleges. And typically what happens that we see is that traditional planning, they try to separate. They try to separate college planning from retirement dollars. And the reality is that it's all one bucket of money. And we need to be able to continue and regain and keep those resources so we experience the miracle of compounding, not the other institutions.
So if a parent like me is currently doing that, what is the best way to handle that then, as far as saving up for your kid's college future?
Well, you have to figure out how to distribute the funds you've been saving while allowing them to continue to compound in your account. And that's kind of the planning that John and I do, is we help our clients figure
the
out how
distribution
to
of it.
spend the money
Okay.
without losing control of the money for the future.
So let me get this right. Most people then will just take and cash out, when their kid goes to school, cash out, close out, whatever, pay the university, and then it's done.
Right, that's right.
And then they also
And then you start over.
and then
And then you start
over.
over again.
And
Yeah.
you're 18 years into your future. So now you're starting 18 years too late for your retirement
Right.
because you just spent all the money.
And there's another concept there too that we touch on for our clients in what we call opportunity cost. It's not just starting over in the 18 years; it's what that money would have earned for you over the rest of your life through retirement. So let's say college was $80,000. Now that money is no longer earning and compounding for you. There's an opportunity cost for you in association to making that decision and killing that compounding curve.
Let me give you an example of what I'm now doing for my granddaughter, because I'm a grandfather for the first time. I got a 14-month-old little girl, and we're setting money aside for her college education. Now, my wife and I, we can afford some bigger dollars now because we're on the other end of the tunnel, so to speak. And so what we've done is we've understand that it takes about $9,000 a year set aside to put someone through college. That's what college costs now.
Right.
And so we have a plan that would actually help our granddaughter pay for $25,000 of her tuition 18 years from now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to invest $100,000 so that we can give her $25,000 4 times for her college education.
Okay.
But because we're doing it differently than what I did with my daughters, we'll also be able to give her $30,000 when she's about 25, 26 years old for a down payment on a home or a purchase of a car. And also, because we're not going to interrupt the compound interest curve, we're going to be able to give her $50,000 a year for her retirement beginning at age 65 for as long as she lives. All from our initial investment of $100,000
Wow.
because we are not interrupting the compound interest curve.
Right.
We're just letting it go. And hey, for a 14-month-old, think about how long that is. That's 80-some years where this interest is just compounding, and it's happening because we're not interrupting it.
Do you need another granddaughter?
I'm hoping, but not yours, sorry.
Dang it. So close, so close. Now, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I read a news report a while ago where less and less people now are saving for their kids' college. Like it's on the downslope now.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, if you look at the resources that people have, again, it goes back to what I said is where traditional planning oftentimes will try to compartmentalize retirement versus college education. And the reality is we only have so much cash flow, we only have so many dollars, and so people are having to make a decision: do I want to help my kids go to college, or do I have to save and be responsible for my own retirement? And then it just comes down to strategy and helping clients understand that there's ways to accomplish both without killing and interrupting your compounding interest and collateralizing and using those dollars for future uses.
I did have this conversation with my ex a while ago when we were talking about, because we put about $100 a month into the kids' college savings, and I said, I had to pay for my own college. Why don't we just say screw the kids? Why don't we just say screw the kids? It didn't kill me. Let's just make them pay for college. He's like, no, we can't do that. But I was surprised. I heard like the average amount people have in their college savings for kids is only like $10,000.
Yeah, it's not much, and because a lot of parents just can't do it. I mean, let's face it. I mean, today's economy is tough to live in, just to put bread on the table and clothes on the children's back, shoes on their feet. So it's tough, but you have to have a plan. If you have a plan, you can actually make it happen.
And when is it too late to start saving? I mean, what if all of a sudden now my daughter's 15? Is it too late for me to start a college savings for her?
Well, the more you can save now, the less you're going to have to go in debt for when she's 18. Because if she goes to college and you haven't saved anything, you're going to have debt. Either she is or you are. So anything you can put away today will help offset whatever debt is coming down the road for you.
So it's never too late to start.
No.
And so if somebody comes into Solid Rock and says, all right, I just really need to save for my kids' college, what's going to be one of the first things that you do for them?
Well, we first of all have to look at the entire situation and what that really means to them, and look at where their assets are, how their cash flow is, and start to educate them and coach them around strategy, not so much product. I feel like the financial industry has done a terrible job in regards to just always trying to solve financial issues with product. And the reality is it's strategy, just in relation to how do we fund kids' college, recoup those dollars, and reutilize those in retirement. Well, that's strategy. The 529 product isn't going to allow you to do that.
I was going to say, it seems like all these products have a number: 401k, 529, whatever it is. They all have a number.
And
it's like a robot plan.
And it's not that they're bad products.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be able to use them in relation to the strategy that you're trying to accomplish throughout your plan. And the strategy is very important, and the products will be designed specifically for in relation to that strategy. So when we sit down with the clients, we first just help coach them and educate them around what they have, because a lot of times what they have isn't what they think they have, right?
Yeah.
In relation to their assets and what's going on, and we call it a financial junk drawer a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times clients are saving and putting money in all these different areas, but there's no coordination and integration to anything that they're doing. They have all these accounts, but what they're doing over here on the left side is actually counterintuitive to what they're doing over here because of how the position and the classification of that asset.
They have 2 401ks, they have a Roth IRA, they have 529 for their kids, they have and it's just all, they have 2 term life insurances, they have, yeah.
Have you ever played Monopoly?
I'm one of those board flippers where I get mad after a while and I flip the board. But yes, I do try.
You use a board.
Yes, I do.
You see, what most people are out there doing, they're trying to play Monopoly without a board.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do, is get them on a game board so they can see where things counteract, where they contradict, where they're unknowingly and unnecessarily transferring money away. Because we do that all the time. And that's because we're trying to play this financial game without a game board, just like playing Monopoly without a game board.
Right.
It doesn't work.
No. They have to know where their properties are, whether they can afford the hotel or not.
Right. That's right.
Whether they're going to end up going to jail.
That's never a good thing.
No, that's never a good financial solution. Okay, so that is a little about as much as we can probably get into on compounding interest today, because I think that's good though, because if people want some more information, they should probably, like you said, just come in and talk to you and see what's the best way to do it, right, John?
That'd be right, yep.
Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you guys?
They can call the office at 701-223-1000 and ask for Misty, and she'll get you set up.
All right, do you guys have a website too?
srfinancial.net.
All right, well, thanks for being on with us today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.